is the Glass Cannon Network.
Good evening, scoundrels. Welcome back to Haunted City. It's a show about a city that's haunted, and then people do crime in it. My name is Jared Logan. I am the Game Master. Haunted City is our actual play of this game. It's called Blades in the Dark. It's by John Harper and Evil Hat Studios. Go and buy your copy. It's the best game. Best tabletop role-playing game in the last 20 years. The best game, of course, is Settlers of Catan. All right. With me, as always, is my incredible cast who bring this world to life while I just tell them that they failed and they are taking harm. Please welcome to the stage Salim, Josephine McAdam, and Ross Bryant. What's up, guys?
What up?
Hello.
Wow, wow, wow.
Whoa.
Bum, 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 bum.
Y'all ready for Blades?
Yeah. Careful, we could get sued if we do too much of that song. Are y'all into jock jams?
What
Is that the term?
Have you ever heard
know
jock jams? You know what jock jams are?
Is
this another Three Stooges scenario?
Music.
What?
We've talked about music before. I know you guys aren't into jock jams like that.
As in like underwear. So dancing in your underwear.
No,
yes,
jock jam is not when you leave a jam in your underwear. No.
Jock jams were a series of CDs, compilations that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s that were compilations of songs for jocks, that is athletes, jocks, to get you pumped up for sports events. So it was songs like pump Up the Jam, like lots of technotronic.
It's like a promo for like wrestling. That kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
You would definitely play some jock jams before wrestling. Yeah, for sure.
Just like,
I'm just trying to get us pumped up for the big score today.
We're pumped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pumped, you know. I don't need some air horn to like pump me up even more, you know, because that's like, I don't know, it makes me think of like raves and taking drugs, which I don't do.
Right.
But the point is, it's like, you know.
No, you're right, Abu. We're theater kids. The way we get pumped up is by going, whether the weather is cold or whether the weather is hot. We'll be together, whatever the weather.
Now that's my jock jam. That's my jock jam.
That's what I call jock
Peter Piper picked pickled peppers. You know, oh shit, you know, I'm getting it. It's like, oh, I'll get there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, red leather. Not just that. Also yellow leather. Red leather. Yellow leather.
Red leather. Yellow leather.
To get really pumped up, maybe we should all do monologues from our favorite plays. Here is an excerpt from Death of a Salesman. I ran down 4 flights with a pen in my hand today.
Hey, some people have Arthur Miller, some people have Zombie Nation.
That's right.
Great.
Well, speaking of zombies, that might be in the offing today in today's score. Of course, in Doskvol, they call them hollows. Are you guys excited for a zombie apocalypse today?
I'm like legitimately so pumped. I haven't stopped talking about, oh my god, babe, next episode we're going into a tunnel full of zombies. We're gonna kill zombies.
Yeah, we've been running. We just spent so many sessions running around a bleak and antiseptic military dystopia that I'm ready to blow off some steam in a subterranean zombie cave.
Yes. I think that you just gave me the title of the show. This episode, Josephine, Tunnel Full of Zombies, sounds like
Tunnel Full of Zombies.
Yeah. I got a tunnel full of zombies, and my other hand is making a peace sign.
All the 90s jams are coming back.
I was just bringing a little Alanis Morissette there. Okay. Big score today, and I want us to have plenty of time for it, so should we... enough banter.
Whoa.
I am tired of talking to you guys.
Cut it down.
Okay.
I prefer your characters.
I know, right? We all want to.
Anything else anybody wants to get off their chest before I start into my overly written intro?
No. I mean, you want to talk about jock jams? You want to talk about pumping us up?
Yeah.
Let her rip, bro.
Let's let it rip. 1,000 years ago, this was a land of beauty and magic. Then came the cataclysm that blotted out the sun and ripped open the gates to the land of the dead. The city of Doskvol is a metropolis of tenements and factories surrounded by crackling lightning towers. Outside the city is a wasteland of ravening undead. Inside the city is a teeming hive of scum and villainy, intrigue and corruption. Life is cheap in a city ruled by death. The sun is gone. The only thing that shines in Doskvol are the blades in the dark, 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 dark. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
And so we return to the city of ghosts here in Akaros. And I will give a brief recap of where our scoundrels in the Remnant find themselves. In the last episode of our saga, our 3 crew members, now composed of Juliet Belrose, Valkos, and Ekaprag Wodi, nay Ekphelia, nay Ophelia, they investigated some potential leads while relieving their vices. You should know that Ekphelia spied on Juliet while she was mourning Ophelia, and basically showing that she's decided that Ophelia is dead, whereas Ekphelia is still a composite being with part of Ophelia in them.
Up to interpretation. I don't know how Ekphelia took that.
Yes,
yeah, she probably took it really well.
Who's to say?
Look, shorthand, it's complicated. In addition to that, Valkos went to the Path of Echoes, where he has been initiated into the path.
Yeah. Yes.
He passed a test and got a new special ability, Ghost Fighter, by confronting his own inner demons with the help of Ring and the Path of Echoes. So there were 2 potential jobs. One was kind of held over from an earlier downtime, I believe. Right now, Uniferos and the Sparkrights have started some new type of project in the city. They have developed a new lightning electroplasm-based technology, and they've built an enormous facility in Coleridge, and the Path of Echoes wants it destroyed. That is looming on the horizon. But what you decided to do after talking to August, a master architect, and his good old boys club, who are members of the Foundation, yes, you decided to take their job. The Foundation has asked the Remnant to access some tunnels beneath 6 towers, to go down there and rid those tunnels of the inhabitants. There are things alive down there. At first you thought it was people, but after doing a little gathering of information, you found out that those tunnels are infested with hollows. Hollows are living bodies from which the spirit, the soul, has been removed. So, we are about to start a score where your goal, where your victory objective is to rid these tunnels of any inhabitants. That's a big job.
Yeah.
I hope it's clear.
Can you?
Yes.
Well, no, I was just like, could you imagine if we hadn't got the information that they're like zombies down here?
I know, right? We'd be screwed.
That would be so fun if that hadn't happened. I was kind of sad that you figured it out. But that's okay. I feel like it was still a fun surprise.
Oh, it was a great surprise.
So, as usual, we can return to the grotto or wherever you'd like to place your characters for now. And I will allow a gather information from Josephine, from Juliet, or Valkos if you think you need it. And then it will be time to choose our plan and our detail.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to gather some information. I'd kind of like to gather some information as to what the weakness of these perceived hollows are.
I'm on the same wavelength. Maybe we can double that up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Some way.
Interesting. Okay. So let's, you're going to go together. And why don't you let me know what action you're using to gather this information? Where do you go? Who do you talk to? That's important because you need to talk to someone who knows about hollows.
Do you think it's more likely that the Path of Echoes would know? Or
Perhaps.
Apothecarist would, like, you know, shit to deal with the, you know, actual...
Yeah, with the body.
I don't know.
I think it would be someone who knows, because I guess if they are empty, they are living their bodies, right?
Yeah.
Just almost like, but they must be charged by something. But if they're not charged by the spirit, who
about this was that one, like, trafficker of spirits or whatever that we...
Oh yeah, the guy you destroyed?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But you know who else would have known about it? Possibly Selyak Khan.
Yeah.
I was just like, somebody who knows about arcane.
You know what, actually? You know what? No. I'm actually going to go visit Selyak Khan.
Do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you allowed to do that?
Karen's face, like...
No, I love that. And absolutely you can. And I suppose you go to that rooftop where Selyak
is building his church.
Was building his church, yeah. And I think it's completely within the bounds of our fiction for Kronz to be there as well. If she'd like to be. If she'd like to be. And so... this is a gather information roll. Normally not handled this way, but we'll figure out how it goes. We'll just see how it goes. So you arrive, Valkos, at the foot of the building, and you can climb the rickety fire escapes up to the church on the very top of this tenement building. And when you get there, what does he see, Selyak?
I'll say that as you go up those stairs, you maybe pass along the way more people than you remember being there when you were there in the past, where this is more of a solitary adventure. And you pass some sort of like people who kind of look at you from the shadows, and their clothes are dark and stippled strangely, as though they've been woven by some sort of loom that you don't know the make and model of. Who built that for them? And as you come to the top of the tower, you can maybe see a bunch of people like in attitudes of meditation, and seated beneath a much, much larger altar, in now like a garment of that has been built, much like the dress that was made for Kronz, except this one did not melt, because the power of the belief of this individual is very strong, and sort of a humble and almost monastic blacks of Selyak Khan have been replaced with something a little bit more magisterial, and he rises and walks towards you past rows of young people kind of muttering to themselves, and occasionally like something seems to like build itself, uncreate and decreate itself in front of them. Well, well, well. My friend, what has brought you back to your old haunts?
Selyak, I see you've renovated.
It is not I who have renovated, but the project that we all undertake. This is not so much a renovation as a reconstruction. Not to make that which is new, but to rebuild that which once was.
Selyak, I won't bore you, neither take too much of your time. I seek knowledge, guidance. Have you heard of beings called hollows?
And before Celia can answer, Kronz is going to sort of like creep out of the shadows from behind whatever chair or throne Celiac was in. She is now having achieved some, like, surely attempt over and over to have some version of that dress that she so wanted adorned on her. And her hand sort of slips over Celiac's shoulder and says, and looks at Valkos. Information is not free. What do you offer my brother for this wisdom he will beseech you?
You know, for a second I thought you were dead. But, Ajay, you look good in that dress.
I know.
Yes, information is never free, is it? And I imagine that gold doesn't necessarily go far here. What is it that you seek?
Interesting. So,
I can suggest something as the GM.
I'd love to hear it.
I feel that an exchange of information might be useful here. Perhaps Valkos has some information that would be of interest to someone who has built a cult around an extremely powerful chthonic ghost-like entity. Perhaps he knows about something that the Sparkwrights
Right. And I think that Ophelia's what I was like, has Ophelia told that to them? I believe, yeah, they've laid that out.
Oh, about the ghost. Well, I assumed
about
the ghost person,
essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, information is not free. And so allow us to make a balancing of accounts. Since I know, my friend Valkos, that you are quite concerned in matters of payment and remuneration. Let the sum come to a balancing of accounts. I will tell you everything that I know of these beings you speak of that cling to counterfeit life in the rude material of their flesh. If you shall tell me what murmurs have whispered into my ears, there is a tremor in the field of the dead.
Yes, and you are right. There is our collective enemy, the Sparkwrights, are building something, working on something to threaten the realm of the dead, the resting spirits. And don't get me wrong, friend, perhaps this is where we align. I wish to stop them, destroy them, for more reasons than one. I am willing to share all the information I know on the Sparkwrights to you. Perhaps even plan a joint effort, an attack on said beings who threaten the spiritual realm. If you share with me the weaknesses and knowledge of the Hollows.
Since I am sure you do this with the full cooperation of your companions. Yes, this is amenable to me. I have only heard murmurs, and to know in detail what these dabblers in alchemy seek to do to incarcerate the spirits that wish to be free and to have agency in this world would please my patron. Here is what I know. And
now we're going to have Selyak roll the gather information.
Right.
right.
It would be a tune, right?
It would be. It would be.
It certainly could be. I think it could be any number of actions. How do you think Selyak found this out? How did he learn about hollows?
Forgive me as I now rifle through one of my 4 active character sheets.
Yes.
and
yeah, don't roll Canute's actions.
Right. So I think to someone like Selyak, who's into the free agency of spirits to move in the world, and that spirit is a purified, true essence, and that the material of the world is only chaotic matter that exists to be shaped by the spirit. That there's something weirdly blasphemous about these creatures that cling to life, or a semblance of life with no spirit attached to them. So I think maybe even the builder itself has made shown little homunculus, like soulless entities to Selyak, and Selyak has himself almost attempted to pull a spirit out of something and see if it can still move and operate, and knows that there's something off and wrong about that, and has maybe even communed with spirits that once inhabited these sorts of shambling creatures. So let's see if an interview with the builder provided any information.
Great. This the builder is always temperamental, inscrutable in many ways. So I need that action. How do you commune with the builder?
Attune, of course.
Very good. All right. When you are ready, you may roll it, and what kind of information you get from the builder will... Oh, there's a 6.
I rolled a 6.
A 6.
Oh my.
The statue, the White Sibyl, is now veined through with black, inky tendrils. Around it are arrayed various body parts. When you speak to the builder, the body parts start trembling. Tremors go through their nerves. Eyeballs start to blink and throb. The hands of Lafayette Brahm shake and flex. And finally, seemingly from the marble mouth of the White Sibyl comes a voice. Selyak Khan, you've come to me for guidance once again. Prostrate yourself before me and be enlightened.
And yes, you see Selyak kind of assume all this conversation is like I will give you your information. Selyak hears this in his mind and flattens himself before the effigy of the Sibyl, and turns facing up, and I think he has a built garment, so that bandage around his neck now just opens as if with a life of its own to allow the builder to speak to him.
The tendrils shoot out of the statue, and they go at right angles. The builder can sometimes be very geometrical and kind of stratified in the way that its tendrils move, and they enter your neck. And at that moment, Your mind is filled with the builder's dream, and the builder is instantly able to pull your question from the front of your consciousness and knows that you are asking about hollows. And the builder says in your mind, when the soul is removed, much of the perception is removed. The feeling you have when you enter a room and there is someone else there, you can feel it even though you cannot see them. That is taken from a hollow. A hollow is largely unaware, working mentally on a much more limited level. If you are quiet, if you remain unseen, hollows can be avoided or hunted with not much trouble at all.
And as these things like withdraw from the neck, and this like little carapace garment that Celiac has like reseals, he like kind of stands up with like stormy tears running down his cheeks.
If you're just joining us, we're playing Hellraiser, the game.
Celiac is in many ways he is a Cenobite. A Cenobite is just it's a worshiper. It's like a monk.
Yes.
So he approaches you like, I have a gift from my patron. He has placed his spirit into my vessel, and now I breathe it into yours. Keep it well. The soul from these hulls is gone. The chaotic spirit vanished and now is free. But something remains. Only animal perceptions animate these corpses. And if you are subtle, their crude and base faculties cannot perceive you. Be silent, be still, be stealthy, and they shall provide for you no burden on whatever it is that you wish to do. Though my patron tells me that perhaps you are on a hunter's quest. And so go with my blessing and take care and be quiet.
And now I would like to cut directly to choosing the plan.
Jesus Christ, that was the most creepiest fucking thing I've ever done. I was genuinely terrified. To the point where I'm like, I am in enemy territory right now. Anything could happen.
Saying that's the creepiest thing that's happened on this show is super arguable. Okay. Let us choose a plan, Remnant. I've given you enough information. The Foundation wants this done with all alacrity. And so, what is the plan? Assault, deception, stealth, occult, social. That feels good. Or transport.
Social. Let's just go.
Yep.
I actually think it is an assault, but it's a stealthy assault. Now,
it's a stealth assault.
It's a assault. Mm-hmm. So I think is that
it seems as though stealth was just kind of served to us on a silver platter.
Yeah, sure.
But we've got to hunt them after all, which sounds like assault. But
I mean, what's the difference, right, with the approach? I mean, like, what does it mean? Like, what does it?
Certain scores are weak against certain approaches. Certain scores are strong against certain approaches.
Right.
Sometimes the fiction will throw up additional or more complicated obstacles depending on your approach.
Okay.
So
I'm going to put my vote in for stealth, but I think that's also Ekphelia speaking, because that's more their forte.
I think it can. So this is the thing. I think it can be a stealthy approach, but still harmful.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think like an assault is almost like a war, whereas a stealth approach is it's a takeout. You know,
Juliet like actively packing grenades. Like, all right, pulling them back.
they can still be used, and this is the thing. But I'm just saying, like,
No, yeah, we can.
How
let's do
many of
stealth.
those things do you think are down there?
That's
I mean,
Oh,
zombies,
what?
bro. Like,
lots and lots.
when have you ever seen a film with like 2 zombies?
They wouldn't need
I
someone to clear
assumed
it
a
out if there
lot.
were just a couple.
Right. So think about that, not right now as we do the plan, but think about that when you are pulling flashbacks, when you are deciding what the plan was during the score. Think about how many are probably down there and that your objective is to remove all of them.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Sounds like
Okay.
Yeah.
So the plan is, well, we haven't decided for sure yet. We know that Ekphelia has voted for stealth. What does Juliet Belrose want?
Oh, she just wants to blow them up.
Would blowing up those sections of the tunnels? So this is a great question. Now, blowing up the hollows, of course, that works. But using explosives in these tunnels,
It's true.
do you think the Foundation would be okay with the destruction of this area?
Well, I just, I guess I don't know what these tunnels look like or how big they are or whether that would happen with a grenade or not.
I'll tell you only this. I'll tell you that the Foundation has given you a general location where the tunnels are located. They are beneath Bowmore Way near Skurlock Manor. So you have to find an access point. Maybe that's your detail.
Yeah.
No,
We'll go stealth. We'll go stealth.
I think stealth. Let's
Stealth.
yeah,
Everybody is agreeing on stealth. And
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
the detail? And remember, you are generating this as players, so you can tell me, you can decide something about the fiction, something about the world. What is the detail for your stealth operation? Usually that is the point of access.
I think it is the literal tunnel itself, right? To go into the tunnel.
Yeah, like what kind of tunnel? Or is it like a...
The point of infiltration, it says in the book. What is the point?
I guess, I mean, we're going to enter at a point where the hollows have not been reported, I assume. We don't want to drop in right on top of them.
Right, maybe there's like a old like work house that has like an access hatch to like some old industrial entry point to the Nether City.
Right. Was it Marbury? The laborer you talked to, Ekphelia, has perhaps provided a work site that will lead eventually down into the tunnels you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Does that sound like the point of infiltration to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. What will your loadout be?
Yo, I'm going heavy, bro.
Yeah, me too.
I think now more than ever, heavy's the way to go.
Everyone
Heavy,
can go
heavy,
heavy. You're not up
heavy.
on the streets in front of a bunch of people. Very good. And now we're going to do our engagement. So you start with 1 die. Here it is. We have said that stealth is the way you're going to approach. And I would recommend everybody try to stick to that, because I'm going to give you an extra die for stealth, because it's possible that these things are weak against stealth. That's what you learned from Selyak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is helpful here, and I don't think so. And now, because there are things that you don't know, I'm taking away a die and another die. So you're going to get just like a chance roll for this, which is roll 2 and take the lower.
Oh.
Jesus wept.
What? We got 0 dice?
There are surprises down there you don't know about. Actually, I have to make sure I'm allowed to do that, because it's possible that you always get at least 1 die. Starting with 1 die for
surprises.
sheer luck. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna roll 2, take the lower. If that is
Okay.
not,
Do it.
if that's not fair, Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Listen, man, we're fighting zombies. If I die by zombie, I'm cool.
All right. Here we go.
No.
And it wouldn't have mattered if I'd rolled 2 dice and gotten a 6 because I rolled a 3 and a 2. Right. So no matter what, you are in a desperate position to begin.
Hell yes. Love to start this desperate.
Love to be desperate. You know, desperation is an incredibly beautiful trait of humanity. So let's go for it.
Here's your desperate position.
Okay.
You walked along the tunnels, and many of them were flooded through. It's like a sewer type area. The water got higher and higher till it was almost, midway up your thigh to the waist. And then you found a little hatch that would lead into the section of tunnels that the Foundation told you about. Up till now, you've just been in a kind of a sewer area, sort of a work area where various pipage and infrastructure can be worked on by city workers. But now you're entering these old tunnels through this hatch. It's very small. You almost have to crawl in through it. And when you get down into the room beyond, the water is now up to your waist. Once you've entered, suddenly there is a very loud sucking sound, and the hatch behind you, thunk, pneumatically clangs shut. Then, a pipe above your heads starts pouring water into this very tiny airlock type chamber. You see across the tiny chamber that there is another hatch. You are in a room that is filling with water.
This is incredible.
What do you do?
Great.
You
So
sadist. Okay.
I am going to swim to the other hatch to open it to get us all out.
It is, as you can imagine, completely sealed shut. It seems like some sort of air pressure thing. It is not budging even for Valkos's incredible muscles. The threat is that you will soon start taking on water.
We're able just to get to the other side to where the other hatch is?
Yeah, you guys can wade right now. It's only up to your waist. So you're able to wade across.
Okay.
Let's get this door open. Hatch open. What can you describe the hatch?
Yeah, it looks like a big metal stopper with an old rusty hinge. And really the air is an interesting component of it because it felt like when that other one kind of slammed shut, there was some sort of suction of air having to do with like kind of a pneumatic system, an air-based system.
Shoot. I wish I knew what that really meant on how it works.
Are there any other...
Well, you are a leech. You probably do. What is your question, Ekphilia?
Are there other features in this room? Do I see valves, pumps, vacuum tubes, or other various sorts ways of releasing or applying pressure?
That's an interesting question. Let me roll a fortune die to see if that kind of stuff is in here. Yes, there are apparatus like that, but they are high above you, where the pipe is pouring in water. The water is now up to your chest.
Can I roll a study to see the area and basically assess the best way of essentially tackling this issue?
Oh.
You can do that. So you're gonna study, and if your study is a failure, I'm gonna rule that the water, it takes so long that the water is like kind of up to your chin. That is gonna be the consequence.
Okay.
That is why it is a desperate action.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go ahead and also make a clock. And the clock is going to be, it's gonna be called Scoundrels Start to Drown. And let's see, what's the smallest clock I can make? Oh, let's call it a 4-section clock. Yeah, that seems right.
Oh boy.
Right, come on.
And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm also gonna go ahead because I told you that it's up to your chest already. I'm gonna go ahead and click off. I'm gonna go ahead and click off 2 of the.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and click off 2 of the pieces.
Okay,
So,
wait. What? Can I be doing something as well simultaneously? Does this have to be like one at a time?
You absolutely may. Let me just go ahead and click off those 2 sections. Okay. So, Valkos, you understand that if your study goes poorly, I'm going to click off more of those sections. And once the next 2 sections are gone, you guys are starting to swallow water. Yeah, right. You're starting to drown. So, your study is ready to go whenever you are, sir. A 3. A 3 means that you look up there and you're not able to make really heads or tails of how to get the apparatus in here to work.
Right.
And
but before you click it off, can I resist the clicking off?
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So I wanted to talk about resistance as well. You absolutely can, first of all.
Okay.
The second thing I want to say is that remember a rule that we haven't used very much, which is you all have various sorts of armor, which you can use to resist without taking stress or making the stress roll.
Oh, that's what armor. Oh.
Now, there's physical armor, which would only be for physical harm or physical consequences. There's mental armor, which would only be for, you know, social or mental consequences. I don't know what kind of armor would handle water falling into the room. Probably none. So I think this will be...
An umbrella.
Right. Your umbrella armor. Does anybody have umbrella armor on their sheet? I think this is going to be a straight up resistance. Yeah. So you're taking 6 stress, and which is the attribute that you're going to use to resist it? I think it's going to have to be prowess.
Okay, cool. And then the idea is essentially, you know, if well, depending on how the resistance roll is, I will role play how I resisted essentially my fuck up. So I just roll by prowess, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
6.
Nice.
Yes. Great. So you take no stress, and tell me what you have done to resist that.
I look around and I see absolutely diddly shit, and I look to Juliet and I say, you know, I kind of shout like, rather than, you know, like, look for something to help us as a sign, like in the sense of like look for a ladder or something to reach the pipe itself. Like, you know, I'm almost like trying to say like what I was trying to look for that I cannot find. So I'm giving a sense of not necessarily an aid or like you know, like a +1 die, but I'm essentially basically being like, this is what I tried to do, but I fucked up, so help me.
Okay, right, and we can say that you quickly realize you're not going to be able to do it, and you ask the leech to help you, and that is why you have resisted the clock segment going away. Juliet.
Would I have the basic knowledge of knowing whether this is something, obviously the rolls will come into it, but looking at this door and the fact that I have fine wrecking tools, which include powerful drills, acid torch cutters, like spark torch cutters, and like in my loadout.
Yeah, I mean,
is it something that can
all sounds super useful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna, but I didn't know if I'm looking at like a, you know, 3 foot, you know, like deep steel door versus...
Oh, you're talking about the fact that the door is tier 3 and you guys are only tier 1.
Oh, great. Great.
Excuse me?
So
but I believe that you, if I'm not mistaken,
I have fine wrecking tools.
You have fine wrecking tools. So that's good. It means it's possible to affect this door, but right now, because it is tier 2 to your fine wrecking tools, you will have limited effect.
So.
Does that, when we use, how do we do that? Okay, well, can I, it's already desperate, isn't it?
You need to find some sort of way to become more
get my
potent
effect
against the door, to get your effect up. Now, there are lots of different ways to do that. One is to push yourself for more effect.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I will, I would like to use, you know, a mixture of this, maybe perhaps the spark torch cutter to like cut through the hinges of this door. But if it's pneumatic, is that going to make a difference?
I don't think so. I mean, it's still made of physical matter, and you have things that cut through physical matter, right?
Let's just cut through it, yeah.
Okay, great. So you're going to use your fine wrecking tools. What
Yes.
action are you going to use?
I suppose wreck. But could I use tinker?
Yes, you can. You could use either. You're allowed to use any action on any roll.
I'll use wreck.
I'll
This
make
is-
you a devil's bargain.
Okay.
What is your wreck score?
My wreck is 2.
What is your tinker score?
3.
My devil's bargain is. Wait, that would be a stupid devil's bargain. My devil's bargain is I will give you even greater effect than standard. I'll give you great effect if you use wreck.
Wreck. I'll use wreck.
And that's okay.
That feels like a
Wait,
really,
what's the-
really scary way of being like, yeah, just make as much noise as possible.
Slow it up.
Okay, so I'll use wreck. I'm getting what effect?
You're
Great
gonna get
effect.
great effect, and this is I'm gonna call this desperate. You're in a
Desperate,
desperate
yeah.
position
I
starting.
will
Yeah.
also push myself.
Okay.
take 2
Wow.
stress?
So, you will take 2 stress. That's right.
But it's for an extra die that I'm pushing myself.
Where is Juliet starting with stress at the beginning of the score? She did not
She
have it
started
clear.
at 4, so now she's at 6.
Okay.
But this is a desperate. Look, we're about to drown. Okay, so whatever.
You got
Right,
this.
you gotta
Desperate.
do
I believe in you.
this.
Desperate position. You said great effect.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, here we go. Critical!
Yes. Critical.
Oh my god.
Critical!
Okay. Describe what
Yeah.
you did.
All right. Valkos is going on about like, oh, look for that, and I'm like, and I put on my goggles, pull out this like torch cutter, and start just like fucking doing like putting a hole into it so that air escapes, but also like maybe cutting through the hinges and it can just be removed.
Right. So what you figured out, and the reason you got a critical, is that really you just have to break that seal, that cutting into
Yeah,
like
around
the
the
main
edge.
door. Yeah, around the edge. That's what you had to do. And the second you do, a bunch of air kind of sucks out of the room. And for a second, not only do you have water up to your neck, but it's hard to breathe. And then you're able to push that door open, Juliet. Water pours out. I think that Juliet, this is not a consequence, but I think that you kind of like, fall out with the
tumble out.
water, like splash out into the next chamber. And as you do so, you see around, you hear rather something splashing up ahead, and the sound of splashing sort of diminishes as something moves farther down the water-filled corridor. All of you are able to leave the chamber now.
Kind of walk in as well.
Yeah,
Like,
just drenched in stuff, checking all my equipment first, and just
yeah. Kind of Valkos just runs in, is like, are you okay?
I'm fine. This is what I do.
You are brilliant.
Kind of looks at Ekphelia like, yes. Right.
And Juliet's almost kind of like giddy, like this fire has ignited within her. Let us continue. And I'm going to get out my blowgun and darts preemptively and
Very
get into
good.
a sneaking creep as we move down the
Yes.
tunnel.
Yes, okay. I can tell you that you know that there is something moving up ahead. And you are moving through water. Is everybody trying to be extremely stealthy and quiet?
Yeah, I think we're moving with the swishing of the water. Every time it swishes, we kind of move with it. You know?
I'm going to make a new clock. The new clock is called Hollows Are Alerted. That is going to be I like another 4-segment clock.
I was gonna say, like, with these clocks, right? Is there a way of adding segments? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Can we desegmentize
can we
them?
desegmentize?
Desegment.
Okay, right.
Yes, you can.
It ain't,
okay.
it ain't just doom and gloom. Like, we can Doctor Strange this shit, right?
You can Doctor Strange it, sure. The thing is, I will allow you, if you figure out ways to, really kind of become stealthier is how I will put it. Then I will put or evade notice, like misdirect. If you find ways to do that, I can put segments back on the clock. Absolutely. Hollows Alerted is the name of this particular clock. And I like 4 segments because although they are not super perceptive, they have some perception. And so now as you're moving through the water, I'm going to say that whatever is up ahead is definitely moving. It will detect you unless you can be extraordinarily stealthy here. And it might be a good idea if you're trying to get ahead without making too much sound. And I love the idea of moving with like kind of the swish of the water. You need to lead a group action.
Okay, so can I lead a group action?
You can.
Can I lead a finesse action of essentially dispatching said hollow, if it's singular, in a very kind of, with a, I don't know, with a break of the neck, maybe?
With a break of the neck. Well, you don't see whatever it is. You have to kind of go around a corner right now. If you would like to sort of approach whatever it is completely silently and try to break its neck, you certainly can do that. Is that what you'd like to try to do?
I think actually instead of going to, I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell everyone to stop and stay still, and I'm gonna flashback. Flashback.
That's how you use the system.
And essentially, I'm gonna flashback to maybe with Juliet and talking about essentially creating, these are base animals. These are, they kind of, work on simplistic needs. So elements of sound are essentially going to attract their attention. So I've requested small balls of echoing, sort of noisy, almost like marbles, but they make these different kind of crazy sounds. And I want a mechanical sort of, like a, in the way that if you were to throw, it's like throwing a speaker, like a, a speaker into the room where it attracts attention. I've spoken to Juliet, and asking for her guidance and creation of these said balls.
It's like a noise ball.
I love this. They're like marbles almost, right? The main thing about them is they clank or clack loudly when you throw them. Is that right? So
almost
it makes a sound like it's continuous. So it isn't just it's like a. Do you know what I mean? Like it really does.
There are things called flash bombs. They they detonate with like a flash. They're orbs.
Right. Okay.
Maybe it could be a modified version of that, where instead of
sound,
the light, it's a sound.
Okay, so it's a sound. It makes a sound. I think we want to see Juliet craft these in the flashback.
Yes.
Now let me break out the entire crafting rules.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. So if I'm looking at the flash bomb, that's a tier 2 spark craft. And to be honest, it says unreliable on it. But
Jesus,
these exist sort of, and like if they are gonna put out a blinding flash, I feel like it's an easy switch to have it make a noise as opposed to a flash, right?
Yes. Now I'm not gonna say that you definitely have to create something as complicated as a flash bomb unless you want to follow Valkos's directive that it kind of continually makes noise. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a tier 2
If it's just something that makes a loud noise when you first throw it, then I'll say it's tier 1.
Well, if it's no, let's make it a tier 2 item. I think I can make a tier 2 item.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Because, I mean, I've studied these rules because let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. If you go back to the previous page, it says you get +1 quality for the workshop crew upgrade, which we do have.
That's right.
So, we're already going to get a +1 quality to begin with. So as long as I don't fumble this rule, should be able. Okay, famous last words.
The only problem is that it
anything.
says to craft something, spend 1 downtime activity. I'm waiving that. It's a flashback. Let's see how it goes.
Flashback.
Thank you.
Okay.
Flashback.
So I'll be using tinker. Also, this is a Sparkcraft item, so I get +1 result level to my roll.
Oh wow. So that means you get like, so even if it's like, so if it's a 6, you get like a 7?
+1 result level? I guess so.
Result level?
Or probably just...
It would
Say it again. I
get, so, you were... When I
was
craft a
reading
creation
something.
with Sparkcraft features, I take +1 result level. I think it would just be, the results are, is just quality level, so it's probably in relation to that. Like, whatever I roll will go up 1 result level, you know?
And remember, you can also spend coin to improve the result.
Yes.
Okay, let's do this.
It's controlled, right? Because this is just a crafting.
This is a flashback. It's controlled.
Yep.
Standard. And... Yes, okay, so... Got a 6, which, if I get +1 result level, would bump it up to a critical, right?
That...
I mean, either way, this should succeed.
We're just looking for how much quality it has, and you don't have a critical, but quality level is tier +1. So you have achieved, I think, a tier 2.
Tier 3 because of the workshop.
Oh, that's right, a tier 3 device. Very, very well done. So you now have a tier 3 set of flash bombs, and just to give it a little color, let's see how you show them to Valkos in the grotto earlier.
Okay, maybe this happened a few days before, and I think I would just play a little prank, and I would just leave one hidden inside his room that he incessantly has to find the beeping. Where is the beeping coming from?
And I'm like looking and I'm searching and I'm
I was like,
just
no,
like,
I made those items for you. If you can find them.
are you... This is funny. And I'm kind of like searching everything and I'm just like tearing everything apart and I'm like, where did you put it?
Valkos, 1 stress for that flashback because we had to do so much crafting that I think it would be unfair to give you more than that. And you are holding, do you know how many you've made, Juliette, or is it just 1?
Yeah, it says 2.
Okay,
but,
then you have,
but they're described as orbs. Yeah.
Yes, beeping orbs. I love a good
orbs.
beeping orb.
Beeping orb.
Okay, so Valkos, you have one in your hand right now. It has not yet been activated. You know something or someone is around the corner. What do you do?
I'm gonna save it then. If I've only got 2, that's just good to know that I've got that in the arsenal. I think then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna splash some water.
You're gonna splash some water to distract. You're gonna splash some water where you're standing. You're just gonna kind of do it with your hand.
Or maybe what I'll do actually is are these tunnels? Can I if I hit them, are they gonna make a noise?
Yeah, they'll make a noise. Sure, there's pipes around you.
So I think what I'll do is I'll do like a like a quick kind of like hitting the pipes to kind of be like, what the fuck is that? And kind of just wait with everyone to see who comes round the corner and how many come round the corner. Go on.
Ekvelia has something to add.
And if I can offer perhaps some... If I see that, like, you looking at those balls, is Ekvelia's like, huh, someone's been busy. And then maybe reconsidering and about to strike the ductwork on the wall of the tunnel. Just like, grab your hand, like, perhaps if we make a noise down there, perhaps we could have it be somewhat further away from ourselves. And could Ekvelia attempt to take something and throw it further down the passage to that bend and try to strike something there to see if it can cause whatever ran away from us will double back?
Yeah.
So that the noise isn't direct, so they're not echolocating to us.
Right.
You're right.
Yes. All right. So, Ekvelia, what are you throwing?
Is there debris down here, or do I have to pull something from my load?
Let's see if there's a useful bit of debris near you. There is. But it's quite heavy. There's a large sort of wooden brace or part of, it looks like a part of like the infrastructure down here kind of floating in the water near you.
Okay, so yeah, I pull up this kind of like hinged chunk of infrastructure. It's like, perhaps flinging this a little bit further down the passage. I couldn't possibly. And maybe I hand it to you, Valkos.
Great. Okay, brilliant. Yep. Gonna throw it.
What action are you using?
I'm gonna use finesse, because I think it's about being delicate about it and throwing it with employ subtle misdirection. So just...
Great. So, the consequence if you fail is that the Hollow's alerted clock will tick up 1 segment.
Okay. What's the position?
The position for this is, I think it's risky, and
Okay.
it will be for standard effect. If you succeed, you will throw it farther down the passage, drawing perhaps attention there.
So nice to see you working together.
I kind of looked at Ekvelia and I'm like, what a fantastic idea. And I kind of throw it in like deftly kind of skill and get a critical.
Rolling finesse.
Critical.
You get a critical. And so you quickly hear splash, 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 like farther down the tunnel. And when you come around the corner, there is no one and nothing there. What you see is a large area full of, it looks like industrial apparatus on kind of a little island with like a little ladder leading up to it. We're talking about valves and pipes and all on this like kind of little concrete island in the middle of all this water. And then on either side of this long, high corridor, you see metal doors. And when we come back from our ad break, we will allow our scoundrels to continue to explore. It's an old school dungeon crawl here.
Love it.
On Haunted City. We'll be right back. We're back, and our scoundrels are beneath 6 towers in a network of flooded tunnels that are purportedly inhabited by hollows. You've entered a long, high-ceilinged corridor with many metal doors, hatches on either side, and a large concrete island in the middle that contains all sorts of mechanical, industrial apparatus. What do you do?
Juliet is going to excitedly take Ophelia's hand and sort of run over to the apparatus and sort of, rubs her hands together, looks at Ophelia. It's just like old times, right? And I would like to take a look and sort of survey what's in front of us and see if we can figure out how it works.
Very good. Let's roll an action. You can tell me what action it's going to be. If you fail in this action, you're going to do something unwise with this machinery.
Oh, great.
Is that does you understand that? That makes sense?
But if you succeed, you'll do something very wise. Right?
If you succeed, you will do something very wise. That's right. If you critical, you'll do something very wise.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can we like group action this with the two of us?
Sure.
Absolutely. You want to aid each other?
I can lead it, or I can.
I don't think you need a group action here because it's not like everybody trying to be stealthy at once.
Okay.
One of you can aid if you want to spend the stress.
Are you able
gain
to?
The stress.
Don't.
Assistance costs 2 stress or 1?
Just 1 for assistance.
Yeah. Oh. I'll give you. I'll provide assistance because when you say that, it's just like old times. Yes. Yes, of course. And like the hands go to the knobs and are looking at it. And Juliet, you see for a second the face of the just behind the eyes of Ekaprag, the interest and the technical intensity of the Ophelia you knew, if only for a moment.
Oh, okay. What kind of position are we in? My heart.
Yeah, this is a This is a risky position, in fact,
Okay.
and it is for standard effect. You will know what the apparatus does. On a critical, you'll get some very useful information.
Okay. Oh, I'm using survey. Does that make sense?
Survey makes sense.
Okay. Oh, whoa, no!
One,
Me.
a 1, a 3, and a 2 was the result of your roll.
Oh, no.
And
Or
you know,
Ophelia.
and I think the reason why is because you could feel Valkos kind of looking behind and being like, and you know, I don't mean to be like awkward or weird about it, but I like, you know, I do something and I kind of test the size, like, right?
Here's what has happened. You have done something unwise, as I mentioned. Juliette Belrose, you pressed in some sort of valve, and suddenly all the doors on both sides of the corridor spring open, and running out of them is a mob of desiccated, pale-skinned, grime-covered hollows. You can see their eyes are empty. The only thing that exists in them is a hunger. There's a void inside of them, and they need to consume you. How many are there? Let's find out. I'm using a fortune roll. If I roll low, I'm rolling for you. If I roll low, there's a lot of them. If I roll high, then I'll be easier on you. I rolled a 1.
Oh man.
It's a mob, is all I'm going to say. Too many to count.
Wait.
And I'm also clicking up the clock, the clock
Look.
hollows alerted. Because, wait, let
can
me
you
just explain
define
this. Let me explain this and then I will define. So hollows alerted clock gets ticked up. We'll say 2 ticks.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to resist.
If it ever gets fully filled, then every single hollow in the complex is coming after you. Now you're asking, what does a mob mean?
Yeah.
What does a mob mean? 13 hollows are currently running
Holy
toward you.
fucking shit! What?
Am I resisting this?
Oh, you
only
could.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't have a lot
here's
of
what I'll say
stress
about a
to-
resistance. You can definitely
Yeah.
resist it. If you resist it, well, I'll tell you what. If you resist it, I can say that you can shut the door to keep some of these hollows out, but I'm still ticking up the clock.
Right. Some will come. We can deal with 13, guys. Let's go.
You're supposed to get rid of all of them.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
not gonna.
Right,
Yeah, you have very little stress, so resisting could take you out of the score.
I don't think I can just
Do you have any sort of mental armor?
mental armor. I mean, armor in general. There's armor on my sheet.
This was due to a calculated a mistake in your calculation and your survey of the machinery. So if you have some sort of mental armor, it will allow you to expend that in order to resist this consequence.
Oh, like take off, like the armor that's on the sheet I can use?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Okay.
That's what I was talking. But let's make sure it's the right kind of armor. So I'm looking at your.
It's not described. Oh my god.
Oh. He smells the hollows.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. Oh my god.
You're right. It does not say
doesn't
exactly
say.
what type of armor it is.
I'm gonna.
Let's look it up in the book because it describes, I think, all of the equipment of a leech. Does it not? Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I mean, only the top section.
Oh wait,
it
I think
describes.
I think if we click
the rest
on
is the
it,
standard.
if we click on it, maybe it tells us something. I'm sorry. Clicking on the armor, it says a thick leather tunic plus reinforced gloves and boots. I'm afraid that it is not mental armor. I cannot allow you to
I didn't even know
expend
that existed. Okay, that's fine. We're just gonna take on 13 hollows because we're gonna have to get rid of all of them anyway, guys. So this is a good warm up.
Okay, great. They all start climbing onto the stone concrete island you were on. They are climbing up there. They're grabbing at your boots. They move quickly. These are fast zombies, and they're all going like because they're empty and they almost want to breathe in something. They want something to be inside of their bodies.
I knew those.
Ophelia, you notice something similar about the way that you feed. to how these things are kind of trying to suck in energy as they climb toward you and try to drag you down into the water.
This is a grotesque and perverse and, altogether ugly version. I'm
but not at all dissimilar. Okay.
Not dissimilar, but I'm offended by their very presence.
That you should be compared to such a mind.
13 hollows at once. I think that at least brings them up to a tier 3 threat. What are you doing?
Oh, shit.
So is this the situation where if we're just standing there still, they're kind of like moving around us, kind of unaware of our presence and...
Oh, Ecphilia, what a great use of the information you've gathered, but of course it is going to require some sort of action.
I think, well, okay.
Yeah, they came out. How many doors opened too? Just to repaint this.
How many doors opened?
And forgot everything.
6 doors opened.
And are they continuing to file out, or is it like a?
This is a mob of 13 hollows.
That's it. Okay.
And because you moved or reacted when this first happened, they've all like rushed over to where you're at.
Okay.
But Ecphilia's just had an interesting idea. Can Ecphilia pull it off somehow? What are you thinking about doing, Ecphilia?
Well, if they are drawn to... I'm thinking of trying to move subtly and slowly back into one of the rooms they came from. Because if we can create a bottleneck that they all try to press into, then that's just a killing floor for us.
Very interesting. So if everybody is following you, that would be a group action. If everybody is following you to do that.
And that sounds like finesse, yeah? I will lead a finesse group action to painfully, slowly, tamping down any desire to twitch or shudder as we move, like, centimeters from the gasping, groping mouths of these hollows in this cramped space.
So first, let's have Valkos and Juliet roll their finesse.
Is it in a desperate position?
It's risky. They're not like biting you yet, right? It's risky, and it will be for the standard effect that you will very quietly move off of the concrete island through the water to the door that Ecphilia is headed for. So remember that each of these, if Valkos and Juliet fail, you take extra stress.
I got a 6, so you're good.
Valkos is fine. Juliet?
A 4, okay.
A 4, that's great. Okay.
That's not bad considering I have 0 dice.
Right, and so there's no consequence or extra obstacle there because this is a group action. So without taking any extra stress, but here's the real action that matters. Ecphilia, you're leading this. Ecphilia, give us a finesse roll.
I'm going to finesse it, and this seems real important, so I'm going to push myself.
Oh.
Great. Take 2 stress and take an extra die.
Okay, oh boy, 2 more stress, here we go. And get that extra die. Go for it. 4. 4 is my best roll.
Success with a consequence. And the consequence I'm going to say is that you all very slowly and quietly get off of the concrete island. You kind of lower yourself slowly into the water. Then you move so slow that the stagnant water doesn't splash. And the consequence or the extra detail is that when you get to where you could bottleneck them and you look into the chamber beyond, you hear other hollows moving about in there.
Right. Okay. Well.
By the way, it's extremely dark, and I'm going to start making that count.
I'm going to take off on my load a lantern, which includes electroplasmic torches, and I'm going to say that's on a little headlamp. If I can, and maybe that's been employed almost this whole time at greater or lesser intensity. if the light itself is not creating problems with the hulls.
Wait, does the character sheet say that it's on a headlamp?
It doesn't, but can I say that it is?
Yes, you can. Because I think that sounds cool.
We knew we were
so
coming
looking
down
into the chamber,
subterranean
you in
caverns.
fact see, looking into the chamber, you in fact see more hollows, and they're almost like nesting, like they're curled up on top of each other, and they seem to be in a kind of a dormant state. But
How many?
one of them is twitching.
How many are in here?
There are 3 more in here.
Is this room fully enclosed, or is it a hallway?
It's like another one of those rooms that filled with water, so that there is another hatch on the other side of it, but the hollows are on top of the hatch.
Okay. I think we can maybe take... Oh, okay. I say we still go in. So...
Okay, you're inside. The other players can decide whether they want to enter as well. They were following you.
Yeah, man, I'm in.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're moving together. At this point, we're silently moving together.
And I would like to pull the door shut behind us.
Ah.
Okay.
But we have to kill. No, but before
We have
you do,
to kill them, don't we?
we have to kill them. So what so before you even close the door, I'm kind of like, I come close to your ear, seductively, and I say,
Is there any other way Valkos works? Come on.
I'm like, because how many are behind us?
13.
There's 3 in the room and 13 outside.
I say, you and I take the 13. Juliet has the 3.
And then did
This
you
is
just hear me?
interesting. Holy
Because my
shit.
plan was to shut the door, deal with the 3, then open the door, deal with the 13. But that breath hits Ekphilia. And Valkos, that seductive speech of yours, what you hear is an indrawn breath from Ekphilia, like... And it is oddly similar to what you've just passed there. And you realize that the closeness of you, the smell of you, the breath in the air, is like, yes, there's my butch little volley boy. We can, you and I then, right? And I maybe like just look back to you, Juliet, and just like, burn them. And I'll take a position at the door, ready to start chopping.
Yeah, and I literally, as soon as
So
we
if
kind
you
of
cover our back and take care of the 3, then we'll deal with the
We'll take
bottleneck
the
coming in
13.
through the door.
100.
I just, yeah, laugh like, of course I can handle 3.
Of course.
In fact, I'm worried about you handling the 13.
Yeah,
Right.
That sounds good.
What are you doing to handle the 13, Ekphilia and Valkos?
So, I wonder if I can pull a large hammer out of my back. And essentially, this would be my large weapon
Right.
of my loadout. And essentially begin to bludgeon all these fools into another existence by not to be trifled with, and engage them as in a sort of a small gang on equal footing in close combat.
Not to be trifled with, this is a great use of not to be trifled with. Let's talk about not to be trifled with. You can push yourself to do one of the following. Perform a feat of physical force that would verge on superhuman, or engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat. So I said the scale of this group of hollows makes them tier 3, but I think that what you have done is bring them down in tier, and it says you can engage a small gang. I feel like for you, Valkos, right now, they are not tier 3. They are equal to your tier. You can just fuck them up. That's what your
Right.
special abilities should be able to do.
Okay.
And what are you going to roll?
So what does a large weapon give me?
Large weapon? Well, it just gives you an ability to bludgeon them. Oh, I think that maybe we could rule it this way. The special ability shot them down one tier, and then your large weapon shoots them down another tier.
Okay.
No,
right, cool.
not fair. Not fair. I already said that the special ability brings them down to your tier.
Right.
You're gonna have great effect.
Okay, great. So then I'm essentially going to roll skirmish with this.
All right.
So what position am I in?
You are going to be in a desperate position because if you fail, you're going to be eaten alive. And I'm going to go ahead and start the bidding at level 2 harms.
Okay.
And
level 2 harms.
Can I maybe well, I will either help your dice roll or maybe try to reduce that or aid that position with an assistance, because I said we'd be doing this together. So if there's anything that gets by your superhuman bludgeoning, perhaps it's met with a more precise, almost lobotomizing thrust from Ophelia's
so it's almost like
blade.
I kind of bludgeon and you finish, and bludgeon and then finish, and it's like a dance. I love it.
Very good. I'm trying to think if there's a devil's bargain. Oh yeah, the devil's bargain is you let me click up the segment on the clock, and I'll let you have an extra die.
In addition to the assistance?
In addition to the assistance, yeah.
We only have two segments
we've got
left.
2 segments left.
Okay, very good. This is the big skirmish roll. You make some sort of sound. How do you draw these 13 hollows over to you?
So I kind of let out a small kind of Severosi sort of battle cry, like, and it's like it echoes because it sounds almost like, is it coming from the left or the right? So then that's kind of the way in which it's like, doof, the way I go with it.
The hollows on the island of piping suddenly all turn their heads, and the way they turn their heads is so unnatural. It's sort of like The Exorcist, like their necks crane all the way around like 180 degrees, and then they twist and turn and begin like sloshing through the water as quickly as they can.
Okay, it's the roll.
Here we go.
6.
Yes.
6, a full success. And
Also,
that means that Valkos, you are.
Yeah, didn't I get an assist or something?
Yeah,
What did
an extra die, right?
Should I roll? All right, let me just roll another die then.
Oh yeah, roll one more die.
Just in case.
How do I? I'm just gonna roll my attune.
Pick a 1 dot, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Just see.
The reason he's rolling that is just to roll 1 die, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Not that he's using it to.
See if he could.
Okay, 3.
Okay, it
so it's
didn't
fine.
matter. It was
Just
a
in
3.
case.
6 is a full success, and what I'm going to rule is that between you and Ekphelia, you have like just got them all down into the water, and you are like literally exploding their heads, like bashing them into a pulp. There is no extra consequence. You have just filled the water with blood, because remember, these are living bodies. They just are bereft of a soul or a spirit. And so the water is filled with chunks of skull, brain matter, and blood. And you can smell it. It does not smell good. Meanwhile, behind you, Juliette, there are 3 hollows kind of tangled around each other. One of them is twitching to life. What do you do?
What would you classify their tier at if there's just 3 of them in front of me?
If there are 3 of them, well, that's more than you. You're like a single person dealing with them. I'm going to put them at tier 2.
Okay. I'm going to throw fire oil all over them. It's a tier 3 item. I'm going to click it off my bandolier. It erupts in searing flame upon contact with the air. So I'm just going to douse it over them.
Very good. I think that the issue is not that it's hard to throw a bottle of fire oil on them. It's kind of controlling how the flames will go, how much blast back there is from it. You know, not getting burnt is basically the concern. Is that does that feel fair?
Yes.
You are acting hesitant. You can always
I'm
advocate
doing this.
for yourself.
I'm doing this. I'm
All right,
gonna.
so,
this is, you know, Is Juliet in her element, and sometimes she doesn't think it all the way through. It's more
I'm gonna
like...
give you a level 1 harm if this fails.
So is this desperate then?
Yes, I'll call it desperate.
Okay, I'm going to use wreck.
By the way,
'Cause
your
that
item,
makes
just so
sense.
the audience knows, your item does mitigate that extra tier I gave them. So, yes, let's use wreck. Let's do this.
Does the fire oil do something?
Your item is a fine quality item, right? And and it's tier 3. I think that that's enough to mitigate a tier 2 foe.
Great. Effect on this roll?
Oh, effect will be great. You'll disintegrate all of them.
I'm just gonna try this with 2 dice. Here we go. Okay.
Success.
There's a success. There's a 4.
Success with a consequence. Success with a consequence. What is a good consequence? Here's the consequence. So you obliterate them. You disintegrate them. They're turning to ash before they even get to their feet. However, there's some sort of chemicals in the water that are flammable.
Oh.
And so now a fire is spreading through the water. I'm creating a new clock.
No! The burn
The new
alive
clock is called Raging Inferno. Let's go ahead and make that a 4-segment clock as well. And the Raging Inferno means that the water is catching on fire, and the very water you're moving through... Well, I know what I'll do. I'll just rename this Scoundrel's Drown Clock. The water you're...
Scoundrels drowned?
Yeah, I had a Scoundrel's Drown Clock from that first desperate position. So Raging Inferno, if it ever fills up, it means that you are unable to move through the tunnels anymore. All of the water is on fire, and the actual structure of the tunnels is starting to fall apart, which would be very bad because your mission is to clear the tunnels, not completely make them cave in.
Yes, right.
Okay?
Agreed.
So I've created that clock. I created that clock, and I'm just going to tick off 1 segment of it.
Can I immediately attempt something to mitigate it?
You mean a resistant? Resistant?
No.
What are you going to do?
I would like to pour alkahest oil on top of it, which is a fluid that stops effects of any other alchemical.
Oh, very well done.
Nice.
You know, here's what I'll say. If you click that off of your inventory, I will just go ahead and ignore. We will get rid of the clock. We will not worry about it.
It is clicked off, and I just douse it, and the flames are out.
Nicely
So
done.
There's something really eerie, like we're in such darkness, and you're just hearing the crunch of bone and metal and stab, and then suddenly it's very bright. Like McFeely's like, and and then it's doused swiftly.
Yes. There's still an odor, a chemical odor in this chamber. The charred corpses of the hollows are floating by your hip. And the burnt flesh smell is very strong in your nostrils as well. Where would you like to go next, everybody?
Ooh, we've cleared the room.
Yeah, I think we go further down the rabbit hole, right?
Did we gain any knowledge of the machinery at all? Of like what, if there's more than just these doors? If there,
You're apparently still in kind of like a sewage kind of, canal system that's down here. Your sunken grotto is actually part of this. Your lair,
right, yeah.
So you feel like you haven't quite found the old city yet, which is what the Foundation would be interested in. You're dealing with these various like kind of airlock chambers still.
All right. Let's. We continue further then. Yeah.
Can I tick off on my heavy, loadout, documents?
Wow, documents.
And like literally, and say that maybe one of the things, as I rifled through the pockets of the fellow that I gave a bit of the old suck to in the alley, is maybe or something that Juliet got from the Foundation is a map of these tunnels, so that we're not going completely blind through a series of caverns, just hoping to find where we are.
That sounds. You just want to click off. Well, let me look at documents on your sheet, okay? Yeah, because I don't know if I can let you do that by just allowing you to click it off. But maybe let me just take a close look at it.
If not,
Sorry,
we can
I'm rifling through
flashbackify.
Ross's 4 characters. Yes, exactly. It may be a flashback. Which, looking at your stress, that's getting kind of scary. Let me, because we do not want a vampire to fill up on stress. So let's look at documents. Here they are, and there's a little arrow here, and it says, a collection of slim volumes on a variety of topics, including a registry of the nobility, city watch commanders, and other notable citizens. Blank pages, a vial of ink, and a pen. Now,
That doesn't sound like a map.
It's a little unfair,
What
everybody,
about the last
because
part of it?
well, let me just say this.
Okay.
It's a little unfair. I want my players to understand that, because in the past we've just sort of defined the items on the fly, and now I'm looking carefully at what the item says in the sheet, and it's a little unfair. So, I'll tell you what. I'm going to allow it this once. I think it would be absolutely insane for the Foundation not to give you any kind of map at all. So I'm going to allow it. If you click it off on your... But in the future, let's keep in mind that I will be trying to stay closer to what the description of the item is on the sheet.
Sure.
Okay. So you have it. You have the map. And where are you trying to go?
If the idea is to go to the old city, then I want to kind of look at this hub room in which we are, and try to figure out which one of, like, what is the quickest way to the old kind of cisterns of old Doskvol.
Yes. So, you soon find your way down the corridor, past all of these doors, actually, because they're all tributaries to sort of the main, canal, and you find yourself in an area where, yes, in fact, there's kind of a waterfall. It leads down into an old cistern, and then you can crawl through a pipe, and I mean you have to crawl through it, into the old city of Doskvol.
And as we pop our heads out of the pipe like so many little Victorian Marios,
Oh wait, you haven't crawled through it yet.
Wait,
I
yeah,
see.
I was gonna.
It stands ahead of you, dark
see.
and foreboding, a bit of scum dripping from its top edge.
Who's going for? I assume it's like one person at a time, sort of pipe.
Right, a single file.
Single
Hands
file
and knees.
pipe crawl.
Who would like to go first? I'm gonna say outside above game. Who's got the best prowl?
I think that might be me. Yes.
Okay.
Because
Are you saying you'd like to lead another silent group action to
Yeah.
be stealthy and silent?
Sure.
Okay,
think that's
great.
nice.
And what action are you? And is Ekphelia leading it? And what action are they using?
can you potentially take stress?
I can,
Okay.
but not a ton. Prowl, yeah. Prowl through the pipe.
Okay, very good. Prowl. So let me have Valkos and Juliet make prowl rolls.
Risky.
Risky for standard effect, but it's a group action. It really only
Yep.
matters how
Okay.
it goes for Ekphelia.
Okay.
I failed.
Okay. No, you didn't. Oh, shit, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, I
did.
got 5.
I got a 2.
Oh, 0 dice, and you rolled a 2 and a 6, so you failed. And you got a 5, Valkos. So you take 1 stress already, Ekphelia. Wait, I think you take it if it fails or something. Anyway, let's go ahead and no, I think you do take it. Sorry, you take it.
Okay.
And now you're gonna roll to see if you're successful.
Here we
Oh,
go.
and the consequence is gonna be that something is alerted.
Right. Of course. Let's go.
Yes.
well-
Nice.
Ekphelia rolled a 6. Because like
Yeah.
this is not a metagame discussion. You've seen how stealthy Ekphelia is. That is common
Yeah.
knowledge to the two of
Yes.
you. That suddenly Ekapragwody's body will be on one side of the grotto, and then you'll kind of look up and they'll be right over your shoulder. And no sound has
And
escaped.
I would assume Ophelia would be the one to help Juliet perhaps like catches her when she's stumbling through and stops, or hears her being a little too loud.
Let's quiet as a little mouse in the hole.
The water that you spill out into is filled with rats that are swimming about, climbing on the edges of this sort of canal or moat-like body of water. Up on the edge, over the little wharf-type area on the edge of a kind of a concrete mass ahead of you, you can see buildings in the light from Ecphelia's headlamp. Old buildings. They look like something out of Earth's like 16th century or 15th century, quaint and kind of curvy and made of rough-hewn stones. They don't have the Victorian type architecture that Doskvol currently has. There's nothing metal about them. There's no worked metal in them. They all look like they're wood and thatch and stone.
There's a legit city under here?
That's
The old
insane.
city.
So cool. Okay. Dope.
Okay, cool. All right, that's
Okay.
great. That's
Okay.
freaking awesome.
All right, so now we must
Clear
exterminate.
Then what I'm gonna probably do is activate the two balls. Do we have a map of this city?
You, unfortunately, I'm going to rule, you just had a map to find it. You don't have like a building by building map of this area.
Great.
And how big? I mean, obviously it's something that they sent us on that we could clear, like feasibly clear. Is this like, what is the size of what we're dealing with?
A village. Not a full city, a village.
Okay.
So it looks like there's only one main thoroughfare when you shine your light ahead, and a cluster of buildings on either side.
Oh, like those old West towns?
Yes.
One main
Very
street.
much like that.
Love it. Okay.
Crumbling thatch and stone.
All right, so yeah, where's that ball going?
So yeah,
Are
I'm
we-
gonna draw them out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Right now
I
you're
think-
on the edge. You're like on a little canal that's on the edge of all of this. Let me know how you are moving in and what you're doing.
Can we continue our prowl in towards perhaps if there's an abandoned building?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Let's
Is that
prowl
what you'd like to do?
into a place where we could strategically draw them?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I won't make you roll again, of course. Yes, you can
Okay,
continue. And you're going to go into a building. Is that right?
Well, yeah, Juliet would like to find a building that possibly has 2 stories. I would like to be like on a higher.
Yeah, these buildings are perhaps built before 2 stories was an easy thing to create. But at the end of the thoroughfare, there is a building that looks like a church, and it has 2 stories.
Okay, the
Just
end of the
as-
thoroughfare seems kind of risky, but
It's a very tall building.
Is-
Can I wonder.
alternately, can I get on the roof of one of the 1 story? It's just to be slightly above.
You could.
So
If you're being quiet, then I need an action roll to do that.
I was gonna say, could we set up? Can I flashback again?
Yes, great idea.
There we go.
So I flashback to again, sort of leaning, kind of twilighty on the wall of Juliet's room, and I'm like,
How charming.
I'm thinking, I'm like, a gun which fires automatically like a turret. Tell me, is there a way of perhaps engineering something that fires something without the person being there? Can you do that?
I love that all of Valkos's flashbacks are like, hey, build this for me.
Yeah, I
It's a great idea. I don't mean to
love-
say that it's not.
how capable you think I am.
Well, I think you are extremely capable. I've seen the works of your hands.
I don't know if that is possible.
So that would be crafting something that's a completely new invention, isn't it?
Right, yeah. But I'm trying to see if there's anything even similar. Because there are guns in this world. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there are absolutely guns.
But like
absolutely.
I'm talking like a turret.
Yeah. An automatic gun, yeah.
To invent a formula for a new alchemical concoction or the plan for a new item of your design, you need to study it as a long-term project.
I don't think I can. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's just. But
having a bomb that's already kind of available to everybody, a grenade, that's one thing. This is something completely different.
Then I'm sort of okay. Then I hear them and then I'm like, Then perhaps a rain of fire from above. Grenades that we then throw from above. Could you build a supply of them for all of us?
Oh, I have many grenades, Valkos. I always have grenades. But yes, perhaps I could supply you with some ahead of time. But I worry about their scope and destruction, you see. Perhaps I can tamper with these a bit to make them a little smaller.
So it could be more like... So then, yeah, Valkos is like, so then it could be more like shrapnel elements that are not destructive of the environment, but of the human body.
Yes.
What kind of grenades are you altering?
So regular grenades.
Great, and you're going to make it so that instead of an explosive fireball, they instead shoot shrapnel out into the environment. Is that correct?
Yeah, and this actually, there's a whole section in the book for just modifying an item too.
Great. What does it say? I haven't ever read the book. Is it good, the book?
It's fantastic.
I've never cracked it.
It's so good. It's actually
Someone told me how to play this game.
You know what's nice about it? I'm just gonna is that it's very simple and like it's a paragraph and I know everything I need about modifying an item. So I just need to know if you consider this a simple, useful modification, a significant modification, an arcane sparkcraft or alchemical modification. Like goes from easiest to hardest, basically.
Yeah. What was the middle one?
The middle one was a significant modification.
I consider it that.
A significant one? Really? A nail bomb?
Okay.
All right, simple.
It's one of our simplest bombs.
Okay, so I need to achieve...
I know nothing about demolitions. Simple.
I need to achieve tier 2 quality with my roll then. So I'm going to roll Tinker. I get +1 quality for the workshop. Here we go. I'm just going to do controlled standard here.
Yes, thank you.
Hold a moment.
Roll the 3, a 2, and a 1.
A grenade is Sparkcraft. And because it is Sparkcraft,
of course,
I get +1 result level to my roll.
Yes.
Very good.
So despite the fact that I just rolled a 3, 2, 1,
that's actually
the result level will go up by 1 to a 4, which means it's equal to tier +1 for the workshop, which will make it tier 2.
There you go.
For quality 2.
Perfect. Amazing.
That is some good crafting math. By the way, you still would have had the item if you failed. It would be a lower tier, and there'd be some sort of annoying problem with it as you tried to use it. I wouldn't just say you don't make it, but you have made it, and you've made it to operate the way that you want. And so, how does that play out in the fiction with the flashback? Do you hide a shrapnel grenade in Valkos's room?
Do you hear that ticking? No. I think like hours pass, after I've been tinkering away. And then I come to Valkos. I'm like, it is done. And I take his hand and I place a few grenades, perhaps, for Valkos. I think they come in sets of 2. I place 2 grenades in Valkos's hands. I'm like, for you and whatever destruction your heart desires.
And I kind of look at the grenades. I'm like, you didn't hide one in my room, did you?
That's for you to find out.
Back to the present, and Valkos, you can take 1 stress for that flashback.
Amazing.
And now you must let me know how you are interacting with our environment here. Are we following Juliet's plan of just getting onto these 1-story buildings and
I think so. I think we might. I would suggest then like splitting up. If there's like a town square to attract and pull all the attention, and then attack them from all angles. Again, that kind of idea of alluring, almost like an ambush from above.
Yeah. So in front of that church, that temple-like structure, there is sort of a town square with like an old, crumbling fountain. The fountain depicts some sort of enormous demon, and of course, no water is pouring forth from the demon's mouth, but instead there's just like a black sludge dripping from it.
Oh.
Great.
But there are buildings. There are 1-story buildings all around, and the temple that you can perch on. Is that what you'd like to do?
Yeah.
Are you all perching on the same building or on separate buildings?
I think separate buildings, right?
Yeah,
but,
I think.
But neighboring,
Yeah, I would almost imagine, because I could. I'm almost like I could handle myself, so I'd sort of separate myself, and put myself on one, and then you both could be on another.
Yeah,
and then
across the way.
Sense of across the way. So it's almost like when they do come in, we can take them out from both sides, essentially.
Yeah.
Climbing onto buildings quietly is difficult. So I would like to set an action. Maybe it's a group action, or maybe you each like to roll individually. But the consequence of which will be that I'll tick off more of the Hollow's alerted clock. And now that I can tell you that you are in their sanctum, in their nest, their main nest, if you fail, I would like to click off the remaining 2 segments of the clock.
So can I lead the group action?
You certainly can.
I mean, actually, no, wait, hold on. Is this a prowl? It would be a prowl roll, so maybe actually Ekaprag, maybe you do the action.
Yes, and I would take the stress for failures.
Wait,
maybe we're all on our own.
I mean, we know they're not super perceptive.
That's true. That's true. But you're trying to be stealthy. So that you aren't. They come to loud noises. They come to. Flashing lights from a helmet might draw them even.
Yes. I'm not talking about not being quiet, but rather using another action if you wanted, right? Like if we were successful at finessing or climbing up, would that?
Yeah, would that work? Would finesse work?
That necessarily be loud if we were successful at it?
I would allow a finesse.
Okay.
If you wanted to lead it, as opposed to, okay. I don't know where stress levels are at.
Ecphelia, does a finesse sound good to you?
Of course.
Very good. Then let us have both of our
I love
both our cutter and our leech try their finesse.
Wait, who's leading it then?
How much stress do you have left, Ecphelia?
I have 4 stress left.
Okay.
Oh, you're sitting pretty. What could happen?
So I'm leading this one, am I?
I mean, how much finesse do you have?
3.
Okay, yeah, so do I. So you go ahead, mate.
Oh.
Wow.
You guys, I'm for it because I want to see a vampire stress out and whatever. I don't even know what happens.
But I also think that Valkos is keeping Valkos in reserve for the fight to come is wise. So yeah, I'll go for it.
Okay, very good.
Finesse away. Well, I guess you guys roll first.
Leech and Cutter, roll your finesse.
Ooh, hey, I succeeded finally.
Okay.
Very good.
Here we go. Oh, is it controlled?
Yeah. It is Yeah,
I mean,
it's controlled
for us,
for
it's
standard.
just-
It's really a group action, so it
6.
doesn't
Two
matter.
or not, yeah.
6 and 6. No stress is taken, Ekphelia. Now you roll the main action.
And 4.
Success with a consequence.
Success
be-
with a consequence. The consequence is instead of getting rid of 2 segments of the clock, I'm only getting rid of 1 segment.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We've got 2
I
more
saw
left,
people
right?
online saying that I'm a brutal GM, and I'm trying to keep that reputation.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think maybe as Ekphelia is like,
there's one
like
segment
subtly
now.
scaling this, maybe the outside of this 1-story building, like there's like a little carven, like demonic figure on like a roof beam that just like wrenches off in their hand and like clatters to the ground, and we're all like, ugh. Nothing seems to have happened, and we're on their own.
No, perhaps you hear from the alleys and the back rooms of some of these buildings.
We only want to
Great.
come
Are
when
we in position
call
then?
It sounds like you're in position.
So I'm now going to throw one of the 2 sound devices into the town square.
Great. Don't bother rolling. You set that up very well earlier. So I think in the town square is large enough, it would be hard to miss it. So you throw the beeping orb down into the square. It bounces for a moment and then comes to a rest against the fountain, where it starts going beep, 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 very loudly. And suddenly you hear from all the buildings, and from out of the buildings come stumbling, groping, grasping hollows. A lot of hollows. So many hollows. More than 13. The scale is very large.
Oh, shit.
A crowd of hollows is doors creak open and 3 or 4 spill out onto the ground, some of them crawling on their hands and knees, all of them alive but looking diseased, mummified, so hungry, so empty. What do you do?
Throwing a fucking grenade.
Yep, down go grenades.
This is
ahoy.
important because I think that you want to take out the most number that you can with a grenade throw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this each person rolling an action on their own? Is this one big group action to, coordinate your grenade throws?
I think it's... Oh, man. All right,
You want to
team.
do what?
What? You've got... How much rec do you have? You have 2, right?
How much
Rec.
what do I have?
Rec.
is your
Oh, I
rec
have 2 rec.
action?
I have 2 rec.
Ekphelia. You have how many much rec? None. Okay. Could this be, and I don't know whether this is possible, a finesse roll that essentially allows us to, it's aiming for a group, like in a space, rather than necessarily just throwing it at the. At the
This
of
group
people.
loves finesse, but I think that that argument is sound. I think that you could definitely use finesse in this case, so
Okay.
I will allow it.
I'm
Okay,
going
so
to.
you're
Ekphelia,
leading
you
this?
roll again.
Yeah, I was gonna. Sorry.
Who is going to roll?
Here's
as
a
the
question:
main-
how many of those precision shrapnel grenades are there? Is it just the 2 that we saw, or are there
Yeah, we've got-
many?
I'm sure I've
Could
got
I
2.
are my grenades now that set, like, did I make it? Yeah, I suppose the number is different. I didn't know if my grenades have now been modified, because I have more than that.
Great, we've got grenades aplenty, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say you had some in your inventory already, right? Juliette?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you crafted to modify those. How many do you have to start with?
Well, I could have like 6. I could have a lot.
Then you have 6. But you must fill whatever out that you need to on your...
Right. I was just going to fill it as we use them, yes? Or how many do we need to use here? I'll hand 1 to...
Well, I'll tell you what. I will affect the effect. I will up or down the effect based on how many you're setting off right now.
Oh yeah, we can do multiples. Okay, so I think it makes sense that I only handed 2 to Valkos. Ekphilia is next to me, so.
Which were a flashback, so they shouldn't count from the 6, right?
No. Yeah, you've got your 2 from the flashback. Yeah. I'll tick off 2 for myself, and then I'll give 2 to Ophelia, so that we are at a total of 6 grenades.
That sounds good. Is that a
good amount?
That makes sense. Because the crafting roll was really to alter them, so you should stick to how many you can get off of your inventory, and it sounds like you've done that. So, is this a group finesse roll, and who is leading it?
I'm going to lead it.
Very good.
Yes.
So let's have Ekphilia and Juliet roll their finesse first.
Oh, God. It's a 3 on my end.
Shit.
It's a 3 on my end.
Okay, so 2 stress for you. Okay, that doesn't mean it fails, though, right? It's just
What's the position risky?
Yeah,
what's the effect?
The effect is great, and the position is desperate because your 2 friends have failed, and I think you're literally having to aim your grenades to knock their grenades back into the crowd.
Success.
Yes.
Success with a consequence. Here is what happens. The bombs go off. So many of the hollows are immediately shredded. You can see their limbs come off. Maybe their limbs weren't tied on that well to begin with because they've been living as desiccated hollows. They start to fall to the ground. They no longer have mobility. Some of them no longer have faces or arms that they could grasp you with, as these blades and these pieces of hard shrapnel tear through their bodies, spilling organs. It is horrifying as blood and bile spills out of them, slicking the town square here in the Undercity. But one of the grenades goes awry. It shreds the supports under one of the very old buildings you're standing on. And I'm going to roll a fortune roll to see who's... Wait, both Ekphilia and Juliet are in the same building, right?
That's right.
That's correct.
Let's find out whose building it shreds. It is Juliet and Ekphilia.
Fuck.
Your building is starting to tip down into the square, and although these hollows have been essentially taken out as combatants that can chase after you and grab you and pull you down, hitting the ground really hard
yes,
beside them is going to be a bad thing for you. You're going to take harm.
Grab Ophelia by the waist, hold her close, and employ my line thrower.
Yes, absolutely you can.
I've been kissed by a rose. I'm getting swept away.
You can. I just want to narrate one other thing that happens as you do this. First of all, I'm going to require an action still.
Of course.
But I will modify it slightly based on the fact that you have equipment just for this. The other thing that happens is, from that church, the large stained glass window that dominates the second floor suddenly shatters as a shadowy figure leaps forth onto the roofs of the buildings directly across from Valkos.
Excuse me?
And then begins to leap from building to building toward Valkos.
Huh?
Yes. A new player has entered the arena.
So, I don't think that changes, right? Because I was going to grappling hook us to Valkos' building, but...
Are you still going to do that?
Yeah, I'll still do that.
What action are you rolling?
Better together, I guess. Look, I'm using a gadget that of my design I've poured time over. Could I use Tinker to employ it quickly? This is a very quick decision, to know how it works and to immediately grab it, get it aimed correctly, and employ it correctly.
Sure you can. I'm gonna rule that you are doing it extremely quickly. You're doing it as you fall toward the ground, 10, 15 feet below you, maybe even 20. So that's a split second. On top of that, you are holding a fully heavy individual with you that you are grabbing at the same time. No problem.
Hold me back.
Let's call
hold
this.
Me back.
No problem. Let's call this desperate for limited effect.
Desperate for limited effect.
Would you like to increase that effect?
Yeah. What does the gadget give me?
The gadget? The gadget allows you to do this.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Do you have a devil's bargain for me?
I don't have a devil's bargain, but I can tell you this.
Okay.
If you leave Ekphilia, you get standard effect.
Oh my god.
That sure sounds like a devil's bargain. Oh my
can do it.
god. I can wait.
Well, I mean, if you want to.
Oh my god.
You know what? I want you to
Yes.
think about that as we end the episode. When we come back next time,
Oh shit.
we will finish this score and we'll find out if Juliet left Ekphilia hanging. Thank you, Abu Salim, Josephine McAdam, Ross Bryant.
Oh
You've been
man.
watching or listening to Haunted City on the Glass Cannon Network. We'll be back with the conclusion of this score next week.